All right, good. Okay, so this is the live draw for day 2 of week 3 of Comics Camp 2020. Here I have some signs. I'm going to pull up my desktop here completely. So this is Comics Camp. If you are a member of Comics Camp from the Patreon, then you heard about this there. If you're just joining us from Kimball Jenkins Summer Arts Camps, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here this week. We are in the middle of drawing. Well, I don't know exactly what we're drawing. The whole idea with Comics Camp is we're going to do a bunch of live draws. You can pull out your paper and pencil, come join us, draw along with me. When we do it on Facebook and YouTube like this, on Facebook, you can post comments. So if you head on over to facebook.com/Marek Bennett, you can post comments there and make suggestions. I really value that as I'm drawing. So we're going to draw a little here today. Basically, what you'll need is a pencil and any kind of paper. I'm using 8.5 by 11 paper. I happen to have some nice cream paper here, but any kind of white paper is fine. And if you have an eraser also, that's handy to have because I make lots of mistakes as I pencil. We thought this afternoon we'd do a little review of some of the stuff we've been looking at the first 2 weeks of camp to catch up. And we're also going to do some new pages. So I'm excited to find out what happens to our 2 characters that we discovered on Monday. So let's take a look at what we did on Monday. I'll pull up my desktop here. And the first principle we were doing on Monday is we were talking about penciling, inking, and erasing. That's pieing, right? So first thing we did on both these pages was we penciled out some margins. And if you have a ruler, here's my ruler. If you have a ruler, you can lay it alongside close to the edge of the paper and do a line along all 4 sides of that paper. You'll get this clear frame around your artwork. And then you draw your artwork inside that frame and you stay away from the edges of the paper. That'll become clear why we do that as we go on to make mini comic books and graphic novels. Basically, you're going to want a safety zone around the edge of your page. And then when we pencil, ink, erase our work, we're able to do, if you remember on Monday, and if you weren't with us on Monday, by the way, we've archived all this in the Comics Camp Clubhouse. You can get the password from your camp or from the Patreon, head on over to the Clubhouse and see how we created sort of a blob circle area to put our character. Then we said, let's give her a head and a body and legs, or in this case, a dress. And then we added the other details like arms and feet and facial details. And this bunny's ears come up out of that blob area. So we start from very simple shapes, and then we kind of build our characters into them. Now, if you want to draw along with me and copy what I'm doing, you're welcome to do that. Copying is a great way to learn how to draw cartoons and comics. If you want to draw your own thing entirely, you're welcome to just kind of watch what I do and then let those ideas bounce off you, and maybe you'll get some ideas of your own. And you could draw your own animals, your own monsters. Although this week we are focusing on monsters and bunnies. So I'll just show you a little of what it looks like. Once I've penciled my work, then I'll move on to ink my work. So what I'll do is, where did my inking pen go here? Grab my inking pen, which was here a moment ago. Here it is. So I just use a felt tip black pen. And I use a water-based marker also. Water-based or watercolor, because if I write on myself, I want to be able to clean it off. And I don't want stinky fumes making me sick. So once I've penciled my artwork, I'll go back over it. I'll make any changes I want. And then I'll go back over it and ink it. And that just looks like this. I'll ink those lines. And you'll see how this character will suddenly jump off the page much more clearly. There we go. Put that little knot in the bandana. We gave her a bandana because it was so hot out here in the sun. Her little eyebrows cross over that bandana. We'll put 2 dots here. And we played around with this facial expression a little bit on Monday, and we ultimately decided she's not smiling or frowning. Her mouth is going, ooh, ooh, it's so hot. And she's a little flushed too, a little bit of line that darkens the cheeks a little bit. And then to make sure it was heat and not some other surprise, We gave her some sweat beads jumping off her head. Let's not forget those ears. And you can see how the inking really brings the penciling out, makes it jump off the page, right? We just started on Monday with a blank page here, and we kind of shaped that page with our pencil. We're going to do the same today from a blank page. I'm just showing you the whole process, walking you through it. Once I'm done inking the entire the entire page, sorry, I will come back in with an eraser. You can maybe see some of these pencil lines like around there where the pencil's a little dark. Once I give this ink a few minutes to dry, I can come in here and gently, gently erase all those pencil lines, hide all my tracks, right? And then I'll have a finished inked drawing there. And in places where I want really dark shadows, I didn't spend a lot of time darkly penciling them in because that just makes it a little harder to ink. I'm going to come in with my marker and I'll darken those shadows. Let's just take a look at what that shadow looks like darkened. That's, I think, where you're really going to see a difference in this picture. So we had the feet sticking out the bottom of the dress here. And then we had the garden rose and some wilted flowers here. And then right under the character, we're going to come in with the marker. Maybe I'll make it kind of scratchy and blotchy because it's uneven soil and ground, right? We're kind of discovering all this stuff as we ink it. I think all art is, in a way, just problem solving, right? How do we make this look like a bunny rabbit in a garden feeling really hot and tired with her plants all wilting? Because that's the idea we got as we drew it on Monday. So how do we do that? Well, one of the things that helps is a really heavy, deep shadow, because that will make the sun all the brighter. Remember, we'll ink a sun up here. That heavy, dark shadow makes the light above seem all the brighter, makes these sweat beads seem all the hotter. And when I do ink that sun in, it'll be shining down hard and wilting the whole garden. So I'm not going to ink the entire page now. I just wanted you to see that. Maybe I'll just do the bucket and then we'll be done. The bucket is nice because it has some nice detail in it. It's really going to stand out because we put all these lines close together. And maybe for the what are these? The metal bands on the bucket holding it together. I'll come in with my thick lines and I curve those a little bit, just like the top and bottom of the bucket. So it curves, and I'll put the handle on by tucking it around behind there. Hopefully that's going to look like a bucket, and I'll put a couple shadow details on this side of it because the sun's coming from this side, so it's going to shade that way. Oh, maybe we should put a little dark shadow around the bucket. That kind of draws your eye to it too. And then the grass here, like we said, is going to be all these, we said on Monday, is we're going to try to draw all these scratchy little blades of grass. That's going to look kind of gray to your eye. And I'm going to leave a little space around my figures here. There we go. So I don't know, maybe that grass blends with the bucket too much. I learn as I go. I just kind of figure this stuff out as I go. I do have an ultimate plan with whatever we're drawing here, but I don't know exactly how we're going to get there. I'll show you the plan in a moment. So we did 2 pages on Monday. First I finished inking this one this morning. I live inked it on our Facebook account there. And I posted the video to it over on the Clubhouse. So I finished inking the monster, and this monster turned out a little scarier than I thought it was, but it's kind of cute scary. So I'm happy with how it turned out. And I'm going to finish inking the bunny rabbit if there's time. And then what these are, I've penciled, inked, erased what we call a splash page. So these are each splash pages. And splash pages we talked about in week 2 of Comics Camp. A splash page is a big page that has one big picture on it, and it does 3 things. So let's take a look at what those 3 things are. Every good splash page is going to introduce some kind of character, at least the way I think of it. I suppose you could have a splash page that shows you a setting, but I try to introduce a character. There's my little space alien character. So in this case, for the monster wizard, hopefully it introduces a character and teaches you a little something about how that monster wizard does his job, right? In this case, it introduces a different character in a different setting, and maybe you feel connected to her a little, because I felt really hot and sweaty and tired yesterday. So I feel like that's a little bit of me in that character, and I can connect to her. Splash page introduces a character. It has to catch your eye. Maybe that first and foremost. Maybe the shading, the shadows, maybe the details, maybe the giant eye. All these things will catch your eye, right? And I think it also has to make you curious enough that you want to turn the page and keep reading the story. Because what we're drawing in comics are ultimately stories, longer stories, more than a single picture. So hopefully these splash pages will make you want to know what happens next. And especially when we put them together, this character plus this character, I kind of wonder what's going to happen when they meet. So here's my ulterior goal for this week. Over on the Clubhouse, I posted a little week 3 suggested goals page. So Monday, we said 1 to 2 splash pages to intro different characters. So that's what it did. There's our little splash page. Tuesday, I said a good goal for me would be, and you're welcome to use these goals as well, 1 to 2 pages to show your characters starting out on a quest. So these characters, fortunately, we worked into these pages something that each character needs, right? The wizard monster needs ingredients for a spell. Just so happens that says rabbit feet. And the rabbit here in her garden, her plants are all wilting and she has an empty bucket. She needs something and she has to go get something. So that's what we can work on today. Let's see. So I'm going to get out some blank paper. And whether you have your pages from Monday that you started, I saw some really cool pages people were starting. Or if you just want to draw along with me and make up a little bit of a story today, let's see what happens when we go in there and we'll put the margins on our page. Now, if for some chance I didn't put the rulers in the required tools list for Comics Camp, if you don't have a ruler, feel free to just kind of eyeball a line. It doesn't even have to be perfectly straight, does it? Just eyeball a line on all 4 sides. I'm going to keep using my ruler because I have it here. As long as it's like a finger width away from the edge of the paper, I know that my margins are safe. There's some advanced margin techniques we can do. Let's just kind of eyeball them for now. Now, another thing that I should keep in mind, if I started my project, my pictures, my pages, and I'm using the page tall, I don't want to switch to wide suddenly halfway through the story. So I'm going to keep all my pages for the rest of this project tall. Maybe I'll tip them like that so it's easier for me to reach. All right, so first I'm thinking I'm going to work with my wizard monster. So starting out on a quest. We are starting out on a quest. And we are going to show, maybe what we need to do is show this wizard monster. I could show the wizard monster, you know, tying shoes, getting ready, but I kind of want to get right out the door and out into the world. So why don't we try, I'll create a setting here. I'm going to give it a hillside way up here. I'm going to put the wizard monster down here. I have to sort of plan this out with rough shapes. I think the wizard monster's apprentice or helper will also come along. So we'll put that little creature there, whatever that thing is, or maybe it's a pet. And then here, outlined against the sky, maybe like a big castle wall or something. Like an ominous looking castle towering over them. I'll kind of rough out a rectangle. We'll figure that out after. Let's focus on the wizard to start with. So we'll go from wizard in the laboratory, missing ingredients, to coming out a doorway. Maybe there's a doorway and a path, right? And the 2 characters there. All right. So first, we know I always start with the face, and in this case, this is just a big wizard eyeball. I think here the wizard looks kind of nice and friendly. I think when he or she, when they run out of ingredients and go out and have to go out, I think their eye narrows a little. So I'll do like maybe even curving down a little bit on the top. There we go. This is why I pencil first, right? So I can make those changes. And I'll put that pupil in there. Remember how we did the pupil Monday? We gave it 2 circles of white inside the black. So I'll give it those 2 circles. I'm just going to color this all the way black there. Ooh, that's nice. That looks very intent. I'm going to do maybe the eyelash tentacles kind of coming up because this wizard is reaching out, looking for things. I'm not going to draw them like little bubble tentacles. I'm just going to use lines because this is a smaller picture of the wizard. Now that cape cuts behind the head and comes out the other side. So let's send it up this way, send it up this way, connect them. We'll just erase this part behind the head. I'm going to keep this as simple as I can, even though my character is a little complicated. I'm going to try to simplify it because when I draw my character once, I can put a lot of detail into it, but I draw it twice, 3 times, 100 times, it usually gets simpler. Already this wizard character looks kind of mean. Oh, I shouldn't forget that eyebrow there. You may find the more you draw your characters, monsters, animals, anything, the more you draw them, the more they change. They kind of grow and change. Now I'm thinking that cape kind of flows out behind. And curves down. It doesn't flow out this way because the character's walking that way. So it's going to curve back here. Now the feet of this character, we didn't draw the feet of this character. I'm thinking, I kind of like the tentacles. I think I'm just going to have it sort of roll along on tentacles, maybe like tentacles that roll at the end. I like doing that. So maybe they kind of squiggle along. There's a tentacle there. And then I bring it to the end and I do a little spiral, right? And then I come back and I open up the spiral to do the other side of the tentacle. There we go. Maybe one more tentacle here, curling the other way. There we go. That's kind of creepy. It's like this wizard just kind of undulates along. I like those undulating tentacle monsters. They're really fun to draw. All right. I don't know if, oh, wait a minute. I think I might have had chat off. I don't know if these chats are coming through or not. But I'm watching chat. If you want to make any comments or questions or suggestions, I'm definitely open to them. Let's see. We need to add the, the assistant who's right here. Now, we haven't seen this assistant before, so I'm going to make this up. I think the assistant's kind of roly-poly around. Let's see. I'm going to erase the wizard behind it, so that makes it more solid. It has these 2 horns, has these 2 eyes. I think it always looks kind of surprised and shocked. Like it doesn't really know what's going on, but it's going to go along with it anyways. Maybe we'll keep this assistant super simple, like stick figure style feet. Maybe like a little tail behind it. That's kind of cute. And maybe arms. It kind of runs along with its arms up. Remember, we want this to seem like it's in the same time and place almost as our bunny rabbit. So I think the shadow, the strong sun, is going to be key here. If I put sort of a shadow here and the feet and the shadow don't touch, it should look like this character's kind of jogging, like the feet are up above the ground, right? All right, let's try that shadow under our undulating tentacles. I'm not going to color this in super black because I'll do that in the inking phase. There we go. And maybe we do a couple cartoony dust clouds just to show they're like on the move. Okay, this is looking good. I feel like we're in good shape here. The scarf. I forgot the scarf. So let's just try tucking like another curving line under there. Oh, and the scarf would hang back like this and have that fringe going like that. That's cool. Having a scarf that hangs down actually helps show if the character's moving quickly or not, because that scarf is going to stick out behind in the wind. So that's a good indicator. Okay, they're rolling down the path. We said we would work some kind of creepy castle up there. Let me keep this as simple as possible. I'm just going to do my hill with little grass lines because it just kind of blurs into a gray detail back there. And it makes the hillside a little lighter than my characters. I want the reader to see these characters, right? Okay. So let's see. That castle, let's keep it simple again. Let's just give it sort of a block here. And we'll give it, here's the top of the wall. And then we'll cut out some little crenellations there, little boxes. They don't have to be super even. This can be kind of one of those uneven castles. So we'll erase those, see how that looks. Yeah, that looks good and creepy. We'll give it a cutout here, go along this line, give it some cutouts just like that. Give it kind of a rough, bumpy line there. Maybe the doorway is kind of rough and jiggly and falling apart, right? Maybe I like doing castles that have like one of these windows like we had in the first picture. One of these windows, and then it almost feels like a face there. And maybe there's like, what is that? The gate on the castle. What is that called? I'll have to look this up if I'm going to draw a lot of castles for this story. There we go. There, it's almost like they came walking out of this mouth. Maybe just some bumpy rock lines for that trail they're on. And I'm thinking I'll color this in black. I'll decide that later. Maybe one more window here. Yeah, maybe so. Oh, you know what I like putting over these monster wizard castles is big black clouds that just kind of blot out the sun just over that castle. So maybe I'll just squiggle these in for now and I can ink them black later. Maybe black clouds. Maybe the sun there. I'll decide when I'm inking. And anything else? Any other details? I like adding little mysterious details in sometimes. Like maybe there's some kind of mysterious rock here with carvings on it. But if that's going to be distracting, then I won't add that in. I can kind of decide later. Oh, let's not forget that trail. The one thing that's missing, I have a sense of my readers looking at this, and the one thing that might be missing is where are they going? Are they running out of the castle because of something? Are they going to get something? I feel like I need a clue that will tell what they're doing. Sometimes I just have to sort of stop and step back from my pages and look at them again, decide, sort of ask the characters, what are you going to bring? If you're going looking for this ingredient for these rabbit feet, what are you going to bring along with you when you go on that trip? And I think this wizard, let's see if this wizard, if we move this scarf down and we use this space behind the wizard, I think it just answered for me. So that scarf's still blowing out back. And maybe a tentacle comes up. Give it a little spiral there. I like that this wizard character can have as many tentacles as it needs. And we'll create a line going through here to that spiral. I just got an idea that comes from the first page I drew on the first day of comics camp, or maybe it was the second. I drew this character with a big butterfly net. And I just realized if I put a squished circle there and a net hanging down, now this wizard and the apprentice are heading out to catch something. And maybe I don't use any words at all on this page. I just let the reader look at our first page, see the expression, the empty jar with the label, and then see the net, and hopefully the reader can stitch these together and figure out what's going to happen here. I'm going to keep this, like I said, cartooning, I try to keep things simple. Although you wouldn't know it from looking at some of my inking. You don't have to get this detailed. I'm just kind of, we have a lot of different artists in Comics Camp this year. Some of us like to do a lot of details. Some of us like to keep it super, super simple. So I'm going to use lots of different styles. Some of my characters will have just these little stick figure arms and legs. Some of them will have much more detail. I'll go back and forth. You're always welcome to use totally your own style. You can copy me, you can try these out and then try your own work, or you can just see what I'm drawing today at the live draws, and then you can go your own direction, right? Copying is a great way to learn to do artwork, and a great way to borrow ideas and sort of take other artists' ideas and make them your own. Don't feel like, even if you're copying me, you certainly don't have to create something that looks like my work. I mean, we talk differently, we move differently, we draw differently, right? So even if you're copying me, let it look like your own work too. It'll look really different, and you'll be happier with it that way too. So I think what I'll do is I'll set this pair aside, right? This could be 2 pages in a book, and we could open the book and start reading and get the story like this. I only draw on one side of the page because sometimes that ink comes through the page. There's some prep sketches here on that, but I only draw my artwork on one side. So now I have 2 pages that show this monster wizard setting out on a quest for the missing ingredients, right? Let's set that aside. And remember what we're doing here in week 3. I'm pulling out my other page we started on Monday. Yesterday we said 1 to 2 splash pages. And these splash pages introduce a character, catch our eye and surprise us, and then get us curious. All right, so my splash page for my bunny rabbit hopefully caught the eye, gets you curious, feeling bad for this bunny, maybe even saying, hey, why don't you go get some water for your wilting garden, right? Tuesday, today, we are saying 1 to 2 pages, show your characters starting out on a quest, suggest a goal. So now I have the wizard starting out on a quest. And let's turn our attention to our friend Ms. Bunny here. And she's going to start out on a quest. But I have an idea. I think I'll take a different approach with this one. So somehow we'll weave all these pages together into a story. If you're just joining us, I'm not sure if the comments are working. I'm still, this is early in Comics Camp. We're testing out the technology. We're making sure things work. I don't know. I haven't seen any comments coming in from anybody. But if you do have a question or a suggestion, feel free to make a comment if you're on Facebook. All right, so let's try setting out for a quest page for Ms. Bunny here. Her quest, of course, she has this problem of her wilting garden. You'll see it better once we ink it all. And she does have an empty bucket, and it's a hot, sunny day. She does not realize that monster wizard is nearby. So remember to start a new page. If you're joining us and drawing along, let's start a new page by putting margins on the side again. And I rotate the page so I don't have to cross my hands over. I'm going to pencil these margins on the side. This is all stuff I show people when we do regular in-person library events. We always start with margins. We often start with splash pages. We draw stuff. The cool thing about doing it like this is I have this camera right here on my desk. You can see what it looks like as I work on a story and build a story through multiple pages. All right, so if you have your blank page and you put some margins on it, let's see. Oh, I wanted to try a different approach with this one. So let's try something a little different. You can draw one big picture of your character setting out on their quest. And again, we gave it like last time, we gave it a setting and we put the character doing something in it. The different thing I want to try here is I want to show 2 pictures and just see how that's different. So I'm going to take a line and draw a line through the page, dividing it in half, top and bottom. Actually, it's a little bigger on the bottom than on the top, isn't it? But that's okay. I'll just kind of eyeball it. And I will double that line actually, just like I did with my margins. I give it a little space. Well, I'll double that line and give myself a little space between these two panels. So this divides the page into two parts. And now I can show two steps in this rabbit's quest, or starting out on her quest. I suppose I could show her walking along and coming to a well. And maybe that's the way to do it. But I'd also like to, I want to pull out my toolbox. So the first couple weeks of comics camp, we talked about pencil, inking, erasing, right? Pieing. We talked about splash pages, introducing a character, catching the reader's eye, making them curious enough to keep reading. We also talked about our tools, visual storytelling tools. So we can show faces, actions, setting, text, and that's just what we're doing here. The facial expression of this bunny rabbit, plus the action of reaching up with this torn sleeve and wiping her brow while holding a rake in the garden. All these actions, plus the setting, the sun, the hot shadows, the buckets, the garden. And there's no text in this one, but all those tools combine to start a story in your reader's mind, right? So that's what I want to use here, but I want to use those a little more. Let's see, maybe we can isolate some of them. For instance, maybe in this top picture, I'll sort of focus on my bunny rabbit's face. I'll get in closer to her. I'll make her head bigger. Then I'll do that bandana. I'll put the knot on the right side, her left side. Her ears, I could bring those ears all the way out, couldn't I? Maybe that one's too big. But I think they'll get cut off there, so at the edge of the page. So I'm just going to bring them to the edge of the panel there. That makes the panel like a window into this character, into this character's world. And I think I'll just do her shirt. And she's walking along. So I'll do her arms up. Her arms go up sort of like our apprentice's arms, that sort of cartoon walking style. That's kind of fun. I'll give her cartoon hands here. This hand is just bumps. The fingers aren't very long because she's carrying that bucket. Is that too short for the bucket? I'll make it a little longer. All right. And she doesn't look that tired here. It looks like, oh, she has 3 buttons on her front. And I think I'll make her eyes smiling like this. And if she's walking along happily here, maybe she's, see what this looks like to you. Hopefully you'll see that she's whistling something, some jaunty tune. And I like how this, if I take a panel to get in close, it's sort of like, you know, when I take a moment to actually show myself at my desk and you see my face and we get to know each other a little better when we can see each other more. And that's sort of the effect that we get when I do that in my comics. I can take a panel to bring you in close and then a panel to maybe go back to the setting and show the setting, right? And you won't see her up close so much. In fact, maybe in this next one, I'll show her smaller. So there's her head. How did we draw her yesterday? We gave her a head, a round body, round dress, and then feet sticking out. So let's try that. It's like a snowman, isn't it? And the dress is kind of flat on the bottom. There we go. We'll give her a little rabbit tail too. We'll give her that happy face. Now this is, we're zooming out so we can show maybe there's a well here. Let's put the body of a well. We'll give it like the old classic cartoon well roof here. Maybe the legs of the roof. Maybe one of those winding things. The crank. What do you think? Is she grabbing onto that? Maybe she's cranking water. So I'll put her arms up here. There we go. And don't forget the ears on your bunny rabbits and the knot on her handkerchief. Now, why are we zooming out here? I think we're going to show, maybe there's like dark trees all around the well. Let's see. Let's put some bushes in here. Cartoon bushes can be kind of jumbly and messy. We'll put some higher bushes in here. We'll put some bumpy trees going up. Oh, let's give them some branches. We'll put some bushes over here, and maybe just a little jaunty tune being whistled. Now, this alone seems like a happy little scene of getting some water for your garden. We'll put that tune all through the woods. We'll put her bucket in here. Seems like a happy scene, but if we pair this with those other pages, and we know somewhere out there there's a monster wizard looking for ingredients, looking to catch somebody, then suddenly this takes a different turn, doesn't it? Maybe that monster wizard is out here in the woods somewhere. Let's see. I'm thinking maybe I can just kind of black in the shadowy tops of the trees here. Does that look too much like smoke? Hopefully it'll look like tree branches. Put a bunch of bushes in here, maybe some of that grass that we had by her garden. This bunny seems kind of oblivious. She doesn't realize that there's also a monster wizard around. Now, maybe that monster wizard knows this bunny. Maybe they're neighbors. Maybe they're friendly. I don't know yet. So far, I've penciled 2 pages today. So I added to my splash page, I had an action, the monster wizard heading out on a quest. And then I have this other splash page, and the heading out on a quest action is whistling and walking along and going to the well and getting water. There's a lot of actions worked in there. That's kind of cool how the 2 panels help me work lots of actions in and help me both get to know the character well and then zoom out and see the setting a little better. And I can add details into the setting however I want. Working as a cartoonist, I can always add details. I can always take details out. This tree needs a branch, don't you think? Maybe 2 branches. There we go. So now I think before I draw the next pages, I'm going to ink the pages I have. And then, like I said, I'll sort of step back and take a look at those pages, maybe come back to them tomorrow, and then move the story ahead another page or 2. What do we set for our goal for day 3 of week 3? Let's see here. So Monday, 1 to 2 splash pages. We did that. Tuesday, we penciled 1 to 2 pages showing our characters starting out on a quest. So we just penciled that, and I'll ink those while I'm thinking of other stuff. Wednesday, good. Show what happens when your characters meet. And I literally have no idea what's going to happen when my characters meet. But I find usually as I ink and erase my artwork, I come up with ideas, right? So that's the next step. Penciling, inking, erasing. We have splash pages, actions, and remember your storytelling tools here. We always can add faces, actions, setting, and text in, and that'll help get our stories across. Ultimately, I'll give you a little glimpse of where we're headed with these. Clear these aside. Ultimately, like this is my project from last week. I'm going to turn this one into a book next. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a lot of work that goes into these, 5, and then I won't show you the 6th page yet, but it's 6 pages total. So what I'm going to do next is I will turn it into a book like this one, where I'll put a cover and a back cover on it, and then I'll put those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages together, right? And that's what we're doing next week, actually, is making these mini comics that you can make at home and share with your friends and with your family. And you can also, the other step is you can take the full-size comic and shrink it down. I'll show you how to do that too. So it's a pocket-sized story that you can give to all your friends and family. That's the coolest thing. So that's where we're headed also with a lot of pages. With these pages, is I have 1, 2, 3, 4. If I do 5, 6 pages to show them meeting, 7 and 8 pages for the cover, for the end and for the cover, I'll be done with an 8-page story and I'll have it ready to go. I kind of like the wordless effect. So maybe I'll just, it's not wordless, is it? But the silent effect. Maybe it'll be a silent comic. We will see. So we'll see you. I think our next scheduled event, we have a library event on Thursday. You'll have to, on the Clubhouse, you'll see a link to that. You'll have to register with the library in order to do that. But maybe we can do, fit some kind of live draw somewhere in here, and we will see what we can do. On Friday, we'll get together with 1 to 2 pages to fill out your story. We should have 6 to 8 pages to go there, ready to go. And those we'll be able to use next week to make a book. So great. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for watching afterwards. Share your pie. You can tag it Comics Camp 2020. And make sure also, if you're sharing it on social media, at me, so that I will see it and I can give you some positive, constructive feedback. Good luck with your splash pages, introducing a character, catching the eye, and surprising us and getting us curious. And remember your face action setting text fast toolbox. Head on over to the Clubhouse if you have any questions. And if you, let me know if you want some feedback on your artwork. I'm always available. It's wonderful to have you in Comics Camp. Welcome to our new Comics Campers. And you know, folks, if there's something confusing, there's a lot of parts to this Comics Camp. We're doing a lot this week. If there's anything at all confusing or you can't find anything, just send me an email, because I want to know. You're probably not the only one, and we'll really make the program a lot better if I hear about it right away and we can fix it and get you connected with what you need. So wonderful to draw with you. As always, thanks for coming in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting Comics Camp. We will see you later on in the week. Check the Clubhouse for the next live events. And I'll see you by Friday with a bunch of pages. Good luck, everybody. Enjoy your comics.